Thank you so much, Michelle. Good morning to everybody joining this webinar, which is really going on tapping into a very important topic, actually. The objective of that webinar is to actually look at answering an interesting question, which is about how we close the experience gap that most employees have when consuming digital services, engaging with the IT department. And actually, if you think about it and you ask around, what is the most blamed department in any company? If you ask to the employees who works remotely, if you ask the employee who just got a new system to go use, if you ask the employees who just call and engage with support for whatever problem they have, they always have something to say about how challenging was the experience, how difficult was that moment. And have in mind that really, when you ask support about it, only 40% of the people who experience problems actually tell. 60% of the people who have problem with IT actually don't tell. So the objective of that seminar, of that webinar, will be to actually help us understand how we can better listen to these employees, how we can understand the different elements that are actually driving them to have those challenging moments that are impacting their productivity, and understand how we can actually drive to a continuous improvement program so that as we're moving on, we're closing that gap. So as with any webinar, you would like to call a couple of data points. The reason it's not just an IT problem is because there is so much of digital transformation at stake. So the board challenge is very much about what they think is the key differentiator for the company, but how effective the board change that their transformation strategy is effective. And there is a massive gap here. So it's really, getting higher and higher visibility. And obviously, I'll share with you already a few data points, but this one is, I think, quite interesting. We run a survey around, a fairly large amount of employees that are using Qualtrics and as customers, and actually 38% of the employees are satisfied with the current technologies and tools related to their job. It could improve if everything would be stable, but actually we know already that 56% of them are likely to expect at least 3 new digital touchpoints every new year. So why are we here? Is to contemplate how a solution provided by Qualtrics called Employee XM for IT can actually help addressing those challenges. And the reason it's actually addressing or connecting with a broader point is because when you have a problem with IT, it's impacting your individual experience, and it's telling me as an employee how much the company cares or don't about me. It's also impacting my experience of organizational change and transformation. Overall, it's impacting my engagement. So, who are we to talk about that? If you don't know AKT yet, thank you for joining. AKT is a 20+ year company with a fairly large amount of projects under its belt, over 500. We engage with a fairly large number of global customers, and we are the company who can help you address those challenges, starting from advisory and consulting to implementing solutions such as Qualtrics, and help you to manage them in case you need support on the long run. Our team is made of both technology consultants, but also advisory that can spread and cover different types of geographies. Last, you've seen a few medals on the board. We're super happy and proud actually to say that we've been nominated Qualtrics Breakthrough Partners for the year 2021 for the entire EMEA region, which is a testament to our will to help customers and innovate with customers on the Qualtrics technology. So, why are we having these challenges today, still today? How Qualtrics can help, where to start, is very much going to be what this seminar is about. And hopefully that's going to help you to get a crisp view about the solution, through a tour and through demonstrations on real life scenario that I've prepared with the team, and a few takeaways at the end that we hope will be pragmatic action you can consider right after this meeting. So you're going to have the chance to actually hear from Yolande Taylor, a very experienced program director at AKT, about her views on what are these challenges, on how the things can be improved with these kind of solutions. And we will be fortunate to have Elias Sekfali from Qualtrics to actually show us in a real life case how we can use the technology to understand what the problem is about, to see how we can analyze it, and what kind of action we can take. So let's go straight into the matter. And I'm happy to have now on go for asking 4 questions to Yolande Taylor, who will tell us about that matter.
So hi everyone, I'm going to just give you a quick introduction as to who I am. I'm happy to share with you some of my thoughts about business transformation and IT adoption. So my name's Yolande, and I've worked for several global companies since graduating from an HR degree. A lot of my roles have led me to focus on process and efficiency, and I did my first SAP implementation back in 2002. From 2006, I've been working with SAP SuccessFactors, and by 2018, I'd implemented over 8 significant SAP programs. Today, I'm working with AKT, and I'm supporting a lot of their clients who are looking at considering or health checking or embarking on their first digital experience to improve their employee, stakeholder, and customer experience. So more than 50% of projects are unlikely to meet their business objectives. How much is this related to the relationship between the project team and the end user? Interesting question and a very powerful statistic. So in my experience as an HR stakeholder, I learned to appreciate that implementing a new system is simply not enough. It's only the beginning, and quite honestly, looking back, I now see that implementing the system is actually the easy part. Managing that change very proactively by understanding the impact to each of the stakeholder groups at every step of the journey is really important and critical, actually, to your success. I've observed that a lot of projects fail to meet the original business case objectives, and it's because they've overlooked some critical aspects, or they've possibly diverted focus away from them in the busy phases of project life. Often this is due to oversight or replanning your timeline or falling short on resources. It can also be, in some cases, that the effort that is needed to have change management successful has been underestimated. Simply put, most projects require an equivalent effort invested into the change management in order to meet or even possibly exceed the business objectives and to give you a stable culture for ongoing adoption. When is the right moment to engage end users during the project lifecycle? Well, nobody's going to like this answer, but it depends. I know that it's not the answer that a lot of people want, but it really is true. So depending on the level and scope of your change, the culture of your organization, the nature of your business, the maturity curve for the processes that you're trying to implement or the functionality that you're trying to bring to the business, then you need to think about what is going on in the business and even many more factors than this. They all need to be really carefully considered before you finalize your plan. So typically, I would suggest that you want to have a very targeted engagement plan. And I suggest to most of the clients I work with to work from a change heat map. This helps you to really focus your energy, your resources, your time on the stakeholders who need the most amount of support at different phases of the project before even going live, while you're going live, and beyond. I often see that customers realise a little bit too late that they need to pay more attention to areas they wouldn't have really prioritised. And I like to always say to people, a traditional top-down approach is not necessarily your most effective option. That's why actually assessing your stakeholder groups and aligning them to the different phases of the project, the delta of the change, the business readiness, that's all critical ingredients to making a heat map. And then you can plan your change management according to this. I also think that you need to find a right moment from project launch until go live. You might need to assess the pulse of each stakeholder group during several phases of the project. I would say if you are strapped for resources, then you need to focus where the peak is around the final iteration cycle if it's a digital project, and going into the UAT phase where all the technical delivery is really high in play. That's where I would focus. What are the key drivers to user engagement and satisfaction during this program period? Good question. I would start off with something that is probably so obvious now that I say it, and that's being heard. So often people are stressing about the unknowns rather than the knowns. And when we give people genuine channels to receive information, to provide their input, whether that's concerns, questions, support, collaboration, then it can start to help alleviate some of the barriers to change adoption without them even realizing. I really, really must stress though, that these channels need to be genuine because you need to follow up. This is so important. As soon as people think that a channel is disingenuous and there's no follow-up, then they will disengage, and even worse, they could become actively disruptive. I've seen quite a lot of wonderful examples where topics that are not even known to have been considered by a core project team have been raised through these engagement channels. And the experience then can help contribute to success. In the end, we're aiming for the employee and candidate experience to be optimized. So therefore, we need to have them voice actively and constantly be represented during the whole project lifecycle. Asking them what they think at UAT is too late. We're in a different world now, so we need to really think about that. We see these projects are no longer focused on just providing some lovely business intelligence or reports for strategic decision makers or the HR function. Today, there's a very real and demanding expectation on the processes and the data that end users need to make a sleek and simple, always available, anytime, anywhere approach to their working life cycle. People nowadays want everything on the phone, on an app, ready to go. 2 clicks and I've booked my vacation. You have to remember that no matter how happy your HR function, your payroll people, or your executives are at the end of the project, if you do not make your employees and candidates happy, then you've simply missed this opportunity. Or to be blunt, you may have failed. What are your 3 recommendations regarding employee experience with IT projects? So to me, Qualtrics XM4IT, it's really a package of Qualtrics that helps an organization to manage change. It can measure the sentiment during a project or transformation, and you can see acceptance levels for each of the stakeholder group towards that new way of working. If I'm a sponsor or a PM or a change lead, I really want to see this, and I can use it for several reasons: for communication, for education, for management support. I would recommend that for every project or program that you establish a dedicated work stream to support change management. If you can't do this, then at least establish an owner who can take responsibility for these tasks and activities. I also think it's very important from the start to plan and budget time for relevant resources from all across the business. Just help you with tasks related to change and adoption during the life cycle. And you should do this from design stage onwards. You should ensure that you select tools which are open-ended, multi-language, and that they're able to identify the sentiments captured with the power to process data very quickly. Qualtrics is able to do this. Can you imagine if you had 1,000 users with 5 different languages? You're going to get maybe the answer to 20 questions. You can do the maths, multiply that all up, and that would take somebody an awful lot of hours to read through, and you don't always understand the sentiment. Thank you for inviting me today to share some of my thoughts. Back over to you, Eric.
IT teams face many implementation challenges and risks when it comes to rolling out new software. Scope creep, user adoption, and resistance to adoption must be addressed. There's also a big gap when it comes to employee experience associated with new software and services. Did you know that 90% of IT executives believe they pay attention to employee experience when introducing new technology, but only half of their employees agree? What's more, transformation technology projects can make or break careers and put undue stress and burnout on IT teams, creating risk for losing valuable talent. Meet Qualtrics Employee Experience Management for IT, which ensures your implementations, from ERP transformations to HRIS overhauls, are successful and realize the greatest return on investment. Qualtrics' ultimate listening and system of action helps prevent project delays and overruns by collecting sentiment and change management insights from project teams and stakeholders to fix issues before they become larger problems. Improve employee satisfaction and productivity by focusing on adoption of new rollouts. And mitigate risk with visibility into the project team's confidence to drive project success. EmployeeXM for IT is a purpose-built solution for technology projects like SAP S/4HANA, SAP Ariba, and SAP SuccessFactors, to name a few, providing continuous listening across key implementation milestones and phases. Pre-configured methodology from Qualtrics psychology experts puts the employee voice at the center of your project strategy, in the contextual channels most relevant to them, helping service critical feedback to improve project outcome. Real-time experience insights from project teams, stakeholders, and end users act as early warning indicators to keep the rollout on track, which provide critical insights on feature expectation gaps, team burnout risk, and end user satisfaction. Project leaders can course correct in real time with Qualtrics AI recommendations to drive the most impact on project success. This helps project leaders avoid significant blind spots and mitigate project risks before it costs the organization time, money, and extra work. While project management skills and data cover tasks and timelines, EmployeeXM for IT elevates the implementation process to bring the human and behavioral elements into line of sight. Project leaders can confidently take action and maximize project outcomes, increase productivity, and earn trust among stakeholders. Technology is a major driving force behind a company's ability to grow, remain agile amidst change, and enable and empower employees. But only 38% of employees are satisfied with the technology and tools related to their jobs. With EmployeeXM for IT, leaders are in a strong position to take action on the technology experiences they deliver to their workforce, transforming IT's impact on the organization so employees are happy, enabled, and motivated to perform their best. EmployeeXM for IT supports many IT use cases, including holistic technology assessments, application deep dives, implementations such as ERP, HRIS, or any software rollout, and internal support and services such as your IT or HR help desk. By putting the employee voice at the center of technology projects, you will improve employee sentiment around the technology experience, leading to increased productivity and retention. Unlock new budgets for business differentiating projects. and shift IT's brand to strategic partner. Learn more and request a deeper demo today.
Right. So, well, I hope everyone would believe that I wanted to do my best, that you hear less of me and my French accent and more of Yolande and more of proper presentation. But, you know, before we get on, that will actually be a benefit. We'll get more time with Elias to actually give you a full presentation of the solution, which is great. So let's look at the two fundamentals of what Employee XM for IT is about. It's about the platform. So Qualtrics XM operating system is very much of three things. It enables us to listen and measure continuously. It enables us to understand the gaps and understand the drivers. It enables us to plan and take action. So it's very much listen, understand, and act, and that was the platform is all about. Obviously, that is coming with a number of things. So if I zoom now into the elements of, the three use case of Employee XM for IT, and let's spend a little bit more time on that. The first use case is about technology assessment. So how are we doing today? The second is about the project and transformation. We have big programs. How are we doing with these programs? How do we secure that they will land in the best way possible in terms of user adoption and everything related? The third element will be the internal, the quality of the internal support. So very much I will go from 1 to 3 and then go to 2 because that will be a core part of the demonstration. So 1 is about technology assessment. So people are using Teams, people are using S/4HANA, people are using different type of systems. How is it working for them? People are working remotely and doing a lot of activities, and we just got a pretty good example here during this webinar about, I would have hoped my overall infrastructure would support delivering videos when I'm on a webinar. Okay, so I'm not so sure we want to send that survey right now to Michelle. So that's what this use case is about. How do we actually, by digital service category, go and ask the people about their assessment on the technology, the services they use, and how to help them in their job day in, day out. So that's what it's about. The third one, internal support quality, is about, okay, so how are we doing with support? And wouldn't that be great that if, at the end of any case, there would be a survey sent that the people would actually answer, or even better, rather than sending a survey that only 20% of the people will actually answer, because they get that survey in the mailbox, therefore what the likelihood they're going to answer? 20%. What would it be if they have some digital pop-up that would go on their laptop at the time they're closing the call, and asking 1 or 2 questions, very simple, so that we can actually get the feedback. How would that be if they do that not only when they are with someone on the call, but when they go on the support portal, or where they get onto different type of support activities? So that is what is going to be. And obviously, what are the structured question? What are the open-ended question? And how do we make sure that we can analyze that on all the different type of drivers on dimensions, so that they have that insight. On the second one that we're going to focus on right now is the project transformation. So right now we at AKT working on a number of these projects with customers with XM for IT, a number of them being large S/4HANA transformation program. People who are having multiple other R3 or all the solution of SAP, and who are looking now for consolidating that on one instance, one no customization type environment. And obviously this is a fairly large program, So that is what this kind of program is going to enable us to do. And no better than a demonstration will help you understand how we do that. So what are the stage we're going to focus on? What are the kind of question we're going to ask for the different stages? What are the analysis we're going to be able to go do? And when some of those insights sort of should raise alarm or notification, how can we use the system to automate those notifications so that the right people in the core team, in the change management team, in the line management teams could actually be informed on, go to the next step of questions or insights, so that they could actually take some remediation and make sure that we get the project back on due course for having the best success and benefits out of it. So with that said, let's go to the demonstration. So we shall see now Elias' screen coming shortly.
And
here we
hopefully
go.
my face as well. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I was happy to have, a fairly large number of people on the webinar, but I felt a little bit alone, as you may have guessed so far. So great to have you, Elias. So tell me about who you are. What are you doing for a living?
It's going to be a long story, but essentially I'm working at Qualtrics as the principal solution engineer. And my role is actually to enable and help our customer as well as our partner to understand the full breadth of our solution. So I'm very honored today to present with you, Eric, our XM for IT solution for project transformation.
So I'm sure that everybody has guessed that I am some kind of a French guy because of my accent. So, but I'm wondering if anyone could actually guess where is Elias from. So Elias, A, where are you calling from? B, where are you from?
Well, I'm calling for, funny enough, sunny Wimbledon in the UK, next to London, but I'm French myself. It happened to good people, not to worry, Eric. We can support and we can survive to this.
Nice, and it feels to me that you did a much better job getting a kind of a proper accent. And perhaps we should have a survey at the end to ask, whether who is breaking English better than you and me. I think I would win that by a long shot. So hey, enough of well, first, great to have you here, and I think we prep a little bit that webinar together, because we thought that rather than giving you an exhaustive and somehow tiring feature review of everything the solution can do, and hopefully we'd be happy to do that in a follow-up step with you on the call. We'd rather give you an idea about how I, as a manager, I could potentially use that platform with the help of Elias, because Elias is my go-to partner. How I could actually quickly get to the key elements of my program thanks to Employee XM for IT of Qualtrics. So let's go to that. So first and foremost, Elias, what are we looking at here?
Well, what you're looking at here is an example of our XM for IT for project and transformation dashboard. It combines a variety of data sources at different moments of your project transformation. As you can see from the screen, we're here to support you in all the phases of your project deployment, from the discovery phase, the preparation, to the UAT, and basically the deployment itself, to assess post-deployment how those performances, how those project results go. Not only are we combining feedback data, which we call X data, but also operational data to put into context, helping you to understand where experiences are going well and where some of them could be improved.
So am I right saying that somehow now Qualtrics, for that use case number 2, transformation, is proposing me with a methodology with the different stages already highlighted on how I should actually listen to the people, either because of a stage completion or because something is happening because of the life cycle of those people? Is that what I'm looking at here?
This is precisely. what you're looking at here is a solution based on a methodology. We use our experience with implementation of those solutions in a variety of our partners and customers, plus the help of our experts in the industry to build the right template for the questioning you should ask at any moment of your project transformation. So you know what is happening with your overall digital project transformation processes.
So it's pretty slick. I don't have to reinvent everything by myself or be a change manager black belt. Qualtrics is giving me already a lot out of the box that I can go deploy. So that's what we did actually, Elias. You know, we decided that we had enough doing the program, that we wouldn't go and invent another program to listen to the program. We used the platform and here we go. So what did we find out? We used the platform, we sent the Qualtrics as going and listening to the employee feedback. What did they tell us? Tell me what you see from the dashboard here.
Very, very simple. When you're using the Qualtrics dashboard, first and foremost, you can see on the left-hand side all the different page view you would have access using that technology or that project. This headline view will give you a summary of what is happening on a variety of phases and touch points. Then you can drill down.
I can see a lot. Is that because of my role, or everybody who has access to that dashboard would see everything?
It's an excellent question. Once again, I'm a super admin. I would have access to the entirety of the dashboard views and data access. But as you rightly mentioned, Eric, you can segment, you can segregate not only the access, but the content of its access and restrict even within a view what data can be shown. So for example, the right team would see their right result.
So if I would have an international program, say people from the USA would see data from the USA, people in Europe would see data from Europe if we decided this way.
Absolutely. And you can segment actually this visibility as you wish. It could be departmental, it could be hierarchical, it could be based on a feedback if you wanted to. This is one of the various possibilities of the Qualtrics platform, which we'll see a little bit later in more details.
That's you know what? That's
your earlier question.
It's a very standard question I'm getting from customers, Elias, that they say, hey, we have different departments, we have different service lines, we have different countries. Can I make sure that I can actually cross-check the things and see whether there are some spots? So let's go to the dashboard now. So I see some curve going up and down. So what does it tell me? Because I'm the program manager here, I start to worry. I see curves going down.
Absolutely. Rather than going to all those different actually data visualization, we call them widget, on these dashboards, I wanted to tell you the story we found out throughout the data we collected. With the Qualtrics platform, very easily, having access to it, I have discovered, exactly as you mentioned, Eric, a drop in the team confidence, as well as a specific time within the amount of stress was actually impacting our team during this process. So these are two very important metrics already collected with Qualtrics. The confidence level will generally guide you in understanding how successful your project will be. Not being confident about that the project would be working, that you'll be aligned, that you'll be actually having a good collaboration between, let's say, the supplier and the client, may really impact your success in deploying the solution. Similarly, we all know stress is actually a often danger that could occur. A project could be a long run. It's a marathon. It's not a very short run where you have to put all your effort. And consequently, there would be time where the team will feel, okay, fine, we're happy working on the project, and sometime being burned out, on the risk of burnout.
So okay, it's great. People are stressed. They say, hey, I'm stressed. Okay, what do I do with that? There is not much I can, I'm stressed. People stress. I'm very, that's no good, but how do I know I can do something about it? So can you tell me more about the root, what is at the base of their stress?
Absolutely. And thanks to Qualtrics, if you want to focus on what actually impacted, for example, the confidence at the start of the project, or what generated a huge amount of stress in the third month. A simple click here on our different view, for example, the high functioning team who was affected mostly, as you can see in the previous widget, was feeling less confident and have managed to stress much higher level than in the past. What was the cause? A simple click on this view, I can control that this amount of stress and confidence has dropped on month number 3. I can actually look at whom is actually coping well or less well with this amount of stress, from the client side or from the service provider. You're already seeing a small trend coming from the client. It comes when you go even more details. I mean, work-life balance is essential. If you feel that you are working too hard and you're not even having a balanced life with your family and friends, it may affect not only your confidence, your desire to be successful, but in fact, the entire, potentially bring you to a burnout and impacting the entire project. So what exactly generates this amount of stress, this work-life balance, which is not anymore balanced anymore, is that the collaboration within the team? Well, with Qualtrics, because, and you'll see that a little bit later, whilst we survey, whilst we conversing with the different actors, the different stakeholders of that project, we can ask them what exactly can be improved in
So
their
apparently, I see resources on the client team is a big reason, a big thing that we shall be improving.
Absolutely. Thanks
So,
to HealthXIQ technology, we can actually look at every single comment.
Yes, we thought that we had a problem on month 3. Is there a way that we can potentially figure out if there is a difference from one month to another?
Absolutely. Every single dashboard has the possibility to use a variety of filters you can see on top of the page, as well as clicking directly onto the dashboard. This will automatically, whether you're looking for a client or for a specific month, let's say month 3, what feedback was given in this particular instance.
Can you show me? Well, okay.
And as you can see, we're moving from 39% of comment to 53% now. There is a very, very, very high tendency here from your different stakeholders to highlight how the lack of resource on the client team, which by the way is highlighted again here into HealthXIQ technology. When you zoom in, you can have feedback not only from the service provider, but from the client. And look what they're telling us. We need more people.
Okay. So, quick question. So, Elias, my program is international. So, how does it work? I mean, can I get feedback in different language? Is it gonna still give me sentiment analysis? How does would that work?
Absolutely. How technology is able to digest a variety of languages natively. So you would have those sentiment score. You can see on the bottom, very negative, or actually very positive when they are, and this categorization done automatically. So in the same dashboard, you could have, if you choose, either all the content in their natural language, but if you wanted to actually have them translated into a common language, say your business language is English or French, as we're French, you could have all those comments translated in your language of choices, was benefiting from the text analytics.
Lovely. So, hey, I don't want to jump around, but it's my, most of the time, I know that training is a big problem. In all programs, training is a big deal. So is there a way to better understand how we're doing this training on this program?
Absolutely. Again, as you highlighted,
you have answers for everything.
Well, that's the problem with the Qualtrics platform. You often have actually solution rather than actually challenges, because we help organizations to digest any type of data, to correlate it, and to understand in any facet of a project how this is going. We can, for example, assess how the end user's training has been performed. Are they satisfied with the training they received? Or how effective this training was, all those actually aspects can be tracked, whether you are on a specific location. As you mentioned, this actually program can be international. And for example, in Northern America, they may have received a much more efficient, a much better training because they had all the resources. Whilst, for example, in Europe, because of the scattered countries, they had difficulty to find someone who could speak all the different languages and be present in all the different countries at the same time. This is actually something very easy to digest and dissect right here.
Wow, amazing. So hey, so we've seen some example about looking at the overall engagement level, the stress level. We zoom on to some specific element of change management and training and the ability that we could get there. Okay, there's a lot coming out of the box from Qualtrics, but you know, we special here at my company. We're kind of different. There are a couple of things that we do unique. I'd like to know, you know, obviously all those feedback are coming from predefined surveys. How easy is it with employee exemplarity of Qualtrics? How easy it is to actually, you know, leverage those out of the box surveys, but customize them a bit? So can you share that with the team here?
Absolutely. Well, you can see from the top right hand side, again, I'm a super admin, so having access to all the editing right of this particular project. But a simple click on this edit button will enable me to modify any pages of this dashboard. I can add any data visualization, we call them widgets, to this particular view. Whether I want to consider a pie chart, a simple chart, a pivot table if you wanted to, and plenty of others that we can actually plug into your solution. You can then just call out the metrics, the dimension you want to populate, whether it's a department, for example, whether it's another dimension.
So perhaps if you could show that again, that'd be great.
I haven't shown this part of the survey. I started only with the dashboard, showcasing how you can bring any type of data visualization. But you're very right. The same actually philosophy that we have in modifying those dashboard and project also relies with how we questioning, how we conversing with the different stakeholder. Includes a variety of ready-made projects already for you to consume and to have a head start. Now, moving on to from here, you can see all the different type of question I may have asked, for example, this high functioning team on their level of confidence and which team they were belonging to. Adding a question to a survey is very easy. Think, Eric, for example, today, you may have a specific idea, a specific question. You were asking about training. How about those assessing those actually high functioning team about what they felt about the latest training sessions they received? With Qualtrics, adding a question is very simple. Just click on add a new question, choose the type of question you want to display. Let's go for a simple multiple choices. And you either type in your question or take it from the existing library. Here, how satisfied were you with your latest training? With embedded the possibility to call out pre-existing actually rank and scale for you and choices for you to have a go. As you can see, the list is very large, so it can help you in any type of questioning, any type of study. You can, by the way, even create routes for display logic or skip logic. Maybe those questions should not be shown to the implementation service provider, but only to the client called thread. Putting this display logic is very easy with Qualtrics, so you can generate very personalized conversation. How about that, Eric?
That's amazing. So a question from the crowd. How would you say the survey, how could we make the survey anonymous?
That is a very good question. In fact, in the way you will distribute the survey, one of the different distribution methods is anonymous link. As a consequence, you will not collect any personal information from your different stakeholders using this particular anonymous link to either send through an email or through a website, through an SMS. You decide actually what would be your decision, how you communicate this particular survey, but you can integrate and collect this information in a very anonymous manner.
That's amazing. Hey, going back to the survey, one other question we get from the crowd is, your English is wonderful, can you make it in French?
Oui, bien sûr, mais vraiment.
Meaning, can we translate that survey? How easy is it to actually do multilingual survey?
Actually, better than actually creating a variety of projects, one in French, one in English, one in Spanish, whatever the language you want to actually have within your project and your team. We have within Qualtrics the possibility to have within one simple project absolutely every single languages you wish to add. Here on my platform, I have only at the moment enabled the English version of that survey. Should you want to go for, you said French, well, let's go to French, my friend. Automatically, by clicking on the French button, I will be able to have this content translated, available, and modifiable straight from the platform. You don't have to actually use an external agency. You can simply add the language of choice, here French, choose a question, and automatically had it translated throughout the tool. This is done automatically here, so you don't have to use external agencies to do so. You can have one survey with a variety of languages.
Okay, another question from the crowd. So, hey, we had challenges with technology, but I never had that many interactions. So thank you to everybody in the team, like in the attendees. Thank you so much for making that alive and kicking. So how many languages, including Hebrew? Answer is yes for Hebrew, and answer is more than 35 languages. So that's an easy one I can take. Another question we have.
It's a bit more, my friend. I think it's a bit more. If you're talking about what the answer you gave is the text analytics capabilities. What we're going to, if you're talking about survey translation and in language actually display, it goes beyond that. We have over hundreds of languages that we can actually display on this particular survey, including non-existing languages. If you wanted, and I have done that in the past to a client who was interested, if you wanted to have Klingon, the language from Star Trek, in the survey, or you can. It is actually one of the options available. I don't know why, but it is available.
I know one language that I can't understand, that's for sure. You're the one that my kids are speaking, just like, but anyway, digital native language, can we support that? So the last question I have, I'm careful about the time. The last question I have is, can we auto track the location of the respondent?
Yes. In one of the different metadata that the survey can capture is the basically the longitude and latitude, so the location of the person responding to that particular survey or interaction, as well as the IP if needed.
That's wonderful. Okay, so wonderful. So we're going to do one last thing together, Elias, and then we're going to wrap up. So the last thing is, you showed to us how we can actually take, the library of surveys we get from Employee XM for IT, how we could customize them, how that would actually drive us to the dashboard, and how the different flexibility and powerful type of analysis we can do. Now, if I have some specific things coming out of the dashboard, how can I automate some kind of notification to say some kind of action, say notification, say potentially opening a ticket automatically in ServiceNow? So just one to screen for the attendees to have a better understanding about the art of the possible, so before we can actually go to closing remarks.
as you can see on my screen here, there is a small section called workflows. I mean, what you're seeing on the screen is how Survey Builder, where you can build your survey, your logic, your translation, your distribution, the content you're collecting, and how you can eventually analyze it. You have a small tab here called Workflows, which is one of my favorite features within Qualtrics. It helps you to connect system and build your project and your solution into a system of action. Right here, like for the survey build, you have ready-made catalog of existing template for your workflow. As you mentioned, create a Zendesk ticket if something goes wrong, like one of the metrics you're tracking is dropping. All of it is very easy with Qualtrics. You can even start with a blank page and call out. For example, on the back of a survey, on the back of an event, or if you wanted to schedule it to complete a specific task. For the purpose of today's exercise, I'm going to just go for a simple response to a survey to show you how easy, on the back of this particular survey, I can generate a very simple action. From here, I can set up all the conditions for this action to start. It could be anything. It could be, for example, a response to a question. If someone said X to question 1 or 3, or embedded information like if this customer or this stakeholder respondent is actually based in specific location, is part of this particular department. You can add as many conditions you wish to eventually trigger the task that is appropriate. And again, you have here the variety of choices, whether you want to create a ticket within Qualtrics, email, and a notification.
Can you do Slack? I'd like to post something in a Slack channel. You know, the program team has set up a Slack channel. I'd like to notify them.
That's simple. You just click on Slack, you add your account. I have an account we're using Slack at Qualtrics to communicate. I simply need to click on Next, choose the channel where I want to publish this information or notify the relevant team right here. So let's say test today, and I will enter. You can even actually address it directly to some people throughout their email. And then eventually you decide. You can either pick up your message from the library or typing it here. As you notice, we also support Slack Markdown, which is quite great. And even better, you can call out information from the survey. So see, you can say, see the answer this customer gave. And basically just call out a survey feedback, or as someone asked in the crowd earlier, you can include any pieces of information, including the metadata you were talking about earlier, like the location, can be actually can be posted here. Like, for example, I can say this customer from this specific city, this customer from this particular group or segment, or this customer who responded to that particular question, straight into that message.
That is fantastic. So I have Michel doing the countdown to the top of the hour. And I want to make sure that you know, the people, the attendees, get the benefit also of the summary on the closing remarks, because I promise a few takeaways. So hopefully I don't want to actually miss that opportunity. So let me show my screen. So first and foremost, Elias, thank you so much for you know, sharing with us on driving us through, you know, this this demonstration and this use case. I hope it was fruitful, informational for the team. You know, most of our attendees from the different webinars always tell us that they don't see enough of the product. The demonstration doesn't last long enough. Well, we had a few challenges which gave us the opportunity to spend more time with you, Elias. So hopefully that's a benefit of a challenge. So Employee 4IT is of 3 use cases, and it can assess, transform, help transformation, help support. And you know, you can have here a view of the different type of digital services that we would recommend to consider for either assessing, supporting during the transformation of the program build, or during the support phase, and how to actually connect in terms of, hey, we hear that, what do we do with it? It's about how do I drive people to some learning experience with SuccessFactors or Centrical for gamification and microlearning. How do I get people to a smart ticket with ServiceNow? How do I get people to be better informed about how to use the solutions with, KBAs, knowledge-based articles in Office on G Suite? How do I get them getting access to a digital assistant such as Shortwaves? So that is, as you can see, kind of an interesting view of the architecture we're speaking about when we go in terms of helping employees to get a better experience of IT thanks to IT. So, closing remarks. I hope that by that moment now, you have a better understand what the solution is about in terms of what it covers, what it enables, and the fact that it integrates with a broader set of employee engagement programs. I would like to say that AKT Global, as one of the most forward-looking partner of Qualtrics, is here to help you plan, envision, plan, design, build, and deploy the Qualtrics Employee XM for IT. One of the value that we can bring is the fact that not only we understand super well Qualtrics and Qualtrics Employee XM for IT, but we have a vast set of skills on the solution that you are working with and that should be subject to this kind of activities, such as SAP solutions or other solutions. And just to make sure that you can frame this type of activities into kind of like an effort type thing, we believe we can actually bootstrap that type of programs with you guys in much less than 3 months. If you believe that we can pick on one program, we can pick on one use case, and you find that the wealth and the breadth of the content provided by Qualtrics really hit the ground in your company. So what are the next steps? It's very much about, you might be in a program, you might be aware about some short-term challenges, you might have also some long-term objectives about how to do a better marketing of IT, how to actually step away from that perception that potentially IT is not performing as well as we would expect for the best of the employees. For that, we could help you to go and define a North Star roadmap specifically for Employee XM for IT, but also in the light of the different initiatives you have, and in the light of your broader employee engagement program. Obviously, at the end, it's a case of money. You know how much you would have to spend to actually build more change, more training, more education all around your programs. You know how many tickets you pay to your level 1 service provider. And we believe that we have here some solid data points that you could give us to quickly go to the fundamentals of the business case, so you could see the benefits in terms of hard dollars for this type of program, not obviously missing the fact that there are so many soft benefits and soft value for the employees and for the long-term collaboration across your company and the adoption of your digital transformation program. So 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Thank you very much for everybody who attended that call. Thank you for your patience with some of the technical challenges. I'm sure you will not miss to give us feedback in the survey that you will receive. And if you want to go kill some of the suppliers we use for the webinar, please don't miss that. And hopefully we'll do a better job next time in terms of the technical capabilities of this webinar. Because the next one that we're coming will be super interesting. Qualtrics is releasing EX25, which is a brand new methodology, best practice about how to listen to employee engagement. We will actually help our customers, help you hopefully, to understand about how to leverage those new methodologies and how to actually shift the dial from standard annual employee engagement program to continuous listening, with a way to actually move into something that you can act on, something that can help to change your managerial behaviors. So hopefully you're gonna also receive shortly an email that will give you a view on an access to the videos you couldn't see. And you will certainly not miss an email from us suggesting that we can actually get your feedback and see how we can help. With that said, thank you to everybody, and speak to you very soon. Goodbye.